Tune in to Heel of the Ring podcast on the Sports JEDI Network channel. May the sports be with you. Because I am the hero the Sports JEDI deserves, but not the one it needs right now. Long live Lexus King.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Heel of the Ring podcast here on the Sports JEDI Network, YouTube, Rumba, Twitch, Twitter, on X, everywhere and everywhere in between. This is Let's Talk Some Wrestling. It's our weekly wrestling recap from all across the world of professional wrestling. But first and foremost, this afternoon, always joining me, my partner in crime, my co-host, the one and only PGA Chris. Good afternoon, PGA Chris. How are you?
What up, brother? What up? Yeah, another great week of wrestling. You know, we got a good show coming up here. Got some great things to talk about. Obviously, some great things happened with John Cena last night. So we're gonna get TNA happened last night as well. You know, they gave it to us a little bit live, a little sneak peek. So we got all that to talk about today, man. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, an action-packed show up all across for the whole entire week. I kind of want to start from last Sunday with the Triplemania Regional from Monterrey, Mexico. I'm not going to put too much going through match to match. I just wanted to give my thoughts on that card. I watched the card. We saw Moose defending his TNA X Division champion. He took on Hijo de Dr. Wagner, El Messia, Ricky Banderas, Joe Hendry, and all in all, pretty good match. I love to see Joe Hendry had his song in Spanish. Dile nombre, él se aparece. Y si tú crees en Joe Hendry. So everybody creyeron in Joe Hendry there. He had the people in Mexico going. It was a sold out Monterrey arena there in la ciudad de Monterrey, Mexico. It looked really good. The match was Moose won that match. Moose continues to be an international star as well. You know, underrated for Moose. He retains. The shock of the night, to be honest with you, my opinion were, and I wish I had I was saying to my wife, because we watched it, we were able to we have a way of getting the Mexico channels, watching it live, but I couldn't stream it. There was no way of getting it in the computer. It was just via DirecTV and all that. Well, long story short, while I was sitting there before the match started, I was telling my wife, I said, I think Los Garzas are going to end up winning the AAA tag team titles. I could see that and then eventually Psycho Clown and Pagano takes it from them later down the road. You know, the other Triplemania, or even when they announced the WWE Super Show in Mexico, Monterrey, in the end of July. So I was excited with that, and I told her that. And boom, lo and behold, we get new AAA tag team parejas, and I was like, wow. Damn, I wish this is the time I wish I was live on the stream there. So Lagarce is winning. It helps bring, I know people hate that. People are always WWE taking over. But you know what that does, Chris? It brings exposure to those tag team titles on SmackDown. I thought, you know, and across WWE platform. On your thoughts on that, as I want to say hello to Castel Daniel Garcia, says Demolition should be in the Hall of Fame. Brother, I've been saying that forever. I've been saying that for one of my favorite tag teams. But Chris, yeah, Lagarza's winning the tag team titles. Did that catch you by surprise, or
don't mind it? Yes and no. Yes, because you know, I mean, WWE really hasn't done much with them. I mean, they're a filler tag team on SmackDown. And they weren't even featured on the World. Well, they were featured on the Worlds Collide show, but they had really Santos take more of the shine in that 6-man match they had.
Yeah.
So it's good for the Garzas to go out there, you know, in Mexico. You know, it doesn't bother me. I don't mind it. Again, they're under the same umbrella, so this can't be that much of a surprise.
Exactly, they're under the same umbrella, and let me give a shout out to the other participant in that tag team. You had Psycho Clown Pagano, Lagarces. You had the Nemeths, TNA tag team champions. Currently, they're Ryan and Nick Nemeth. They were looking to try to get you become tag team golds two in a row. And of course, you had the defending champion NGD. And of course, when I saw NDG, I'm not going to lie. I'm gonna be totally brutally honest, and hopefully you guys, it's not to shit on or brutal, or I'm just totally brutally honest. I said they're not a face of a tag team championship, especially under a WWE umbrella. They didn't fit the part, so that's why I also persuaded me to run and tell my wife right away. I said I think the Garzas are taking the tag team titles here. I could see them winning it because they don't fit what WWE mold of a champion. And no disrespect to them, but man, That was crazy. Definitely. So one thing that I wanted to emphasize was we had the rematch Hijo de Valkingo versus Alberto El Patron in a steel cage, where Hijo de Valkingo was getting booed, where he is the over babyface. He is over in the United States, where he goes either to TNA or you see him at All Elite for a bit. You saw him now in WWE. He's over with his work. I was surprised as I highlight some comments here from Daniel
I'm
Garcia.
not. I wasn't, because like you said, he's beloved in the United States because he does all the flippy. He's a little different from, traditional lucha. He doesn't wear a mask for him being a traditional luchador. He does really, really crazy moves. He's over in the U.S. In Mexico. Look, I'm gonna throw it out there. I really don't care. You know who's more over than him? It's Alberto. Alberto is the guy is AAA, is the big guy in that company. WWE isn't going to bring him because of personal reasons, but that's the truth. Elegio is not as over in Mexico as some of you people might think.
Okay, I'm actually shocked. I'm one of those.
That's just what I've heard. Again, that's what I've heard from a lot of the people in this Facebook group that follow the Mexican wrestling, like the CMLL and all that stuff. And I kind of believe it because I've never really seen him wrestle in Mexico, so I don't really know the pops and stuff, but he's not that what I'm saying? I even said it before, Alberto dropping it to him before the World's Collide show just felt like a way to get him, Alberto not on WWE TV, and then they dropped he's gonna give it right back. Okay. So I don't know. I am shocked though. I am shocked, but not too surprised because I've heard already a little bit that he's not that over in Mexico, which is surprising. Though.
It's surprising. We'll see where that goes with Hijo del Barquinho and Alberto del Rio. We'll find out where that goes, where it comes in the upcoming months, because I know they have another card coming up in August for another Triplemania, I believe. I'm not too sure, but also, WWE is going to Monterrey. Wonder if we're going to see Hijo de Valkingo have a match like we saw last year when they went to Mexico for those 2 dates. You had Stephanie Vicaire taking on Gigi Dolan, if I'm not mistaken, in Stephanie Vicaire's introduction to the WWE Universe. What's going on? Daniel Barrow Sports Highlight joining us there. I still wish Mil Muertes will fight either for WWE or WWE or AEW. I don't know where he is right now. If you do know, just write it in the chat there. Of course, we'll address that other comment above you with the TV deals. There's a lot of news coming out with that in a moment there. That's the AAA card for Sunday night. I watched it. I enjoyed it. One thing I do say, WWE, we could see why WWE wasn't aired in the United States. It needs production help. From camera angles, there was a spot in the tag team match that the lights went off. I'm like, what the hell? They're in the middle of a match. I don't know if they darkened it on purpose. I do like one concept I did enjoy from watching Triplemania. I know Heather, one of our pundits on our channel on the Heel of the Ring, mentioned that they do commercials in the background while the match is going, and they'll zoom out and you see the commercials in the background while they're wrestling. I kind of appreciate it. It was a little different look, Chris. I kind of liked it because they didn't go away from the match. They didn't do like Netflix that they totally, if you're in the United States, they totally pull the rug out of you. Right. That was kind of ugh. But they did AAA did do a lot of advertising. But they had it while the match in the big Tron on the top. It was a different look. Okay. I liked. One thing I didn't like was the cutting of the cameras. The commentary was a little, and Spanish, we speak Spanish in our home, and it was a little rough for us. I could see where WWE has a lot of work to do with the production and also things going smooth. There was too much filler in the beginning of AAA with they were trying to give a memorial or whatever the case was. It was a little too WWE, you're lingering time. With WWE, everything is down to a T, to a time. Other than that, I can see that. Let's go into Monday Night Raw, but first let me say what's going on. WWE Undertaker has a lot of advertisement. Ethan is in the building. What's going on? Ethan had training today, and it was boiling. Ooh, my goodness. Surprise, the shirts of the referees didn't have advertisements. The referees as well. The referees look like they belong, they're a little older. Could they keep up with the wrestlers, the twin count? There's a lot of things that they got to clean up, but let's give it time. Let's have an open mind. That's not our company. If you're WWE Americanized, that's part of Lucha Libre in Mexico. They're not going to change things drastically, but they could use a little tightening of the screws. We'll see where that goes. We'll go to Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw has some qualifying matches here. Who was going to go to the semifinals, the finals, the final first round there. In a surprising but Raquel Rodriguez, Ivy Now, and Asuka. I wanted to say that Asuka goes over where I was surprised that Asuka got the victory with the heavy hitters there in Stephanie Vicaire, a darling favorite, but they made it seem important with not Liv, excuse me. We'll talk about Liv in a second. When Mommy, aka Rhea Ripley, takes Raquel, kind of gets her comeuppance where Stephanie was out of the picture and Asuka won. I was surprised, Chris.
I was surprised, but at the same time, you have this girl come back, you can't have her lose. So, I wasn't too surprised.
No.
But the match was good. The match was good. I wasn't surprised for the outcome. I was surprised with Rhea coming out there for Raquel. Maybe, with the unfortunate news of Liv, which we'll get into. Maybe that's
let's get right into that.
Maybe that sets up a Raquel versus Rhea in replace of the original plans. I don't know, but it was all right. The outcome was right. It was a right outcome.
And I see something in the chat that I want to address as well. That was really good. That it's leading to me. We had a match: Kairi Sane versus Liv Morgan. During the match, there's a spot where Liv is trying to brace herself from not hitting her face. Unfortunately, she separates her shoulder. Totally it's not a gimmick. It's not part of the script. You could hear her in agony pain. You see her roll out to the ring while we were doing the live watch along. I said, I think she's hurt, guys. And it turns out she has a separated shoulder. She's out. She's going to be out for a while. Now it determines a little bit of a issue with storylines. We knew Nikki Bella came out, looked like they were leading to our tag team where Nikki Bella and Brie Bella taking on the tag team champions. We don't know where that sits, but this is a great comment. Sadly, Liv Morgan's injury and Roxanne is going to take advantage of that. They could interject that to the storyline where she's out rehabbing and Roxanne now advances her move on the Judgment Day along with Finn Balor plotting for that demise within the clubhouse. Kind of a role reversal. That was a good one there. Good one there on that observation there. Roxanne Perez is a tremendous heel. Roxanne Perez is a tremendous talent. Don't let her 5'4" self fool you. She is a tremendous talent. Tremendous talent. We got James in the building. What's going on, broski? What's going on James? To you? Hope everything is well with you, man. Hope everything is going well. I just thought an injury to my neck and the collarbone. It hurts. Yeah, you just got through that. Those are tough for her. Where Liv Morgan goes, where the storyline wise, there's things there. Unfortunate situation with her real injuries. Get well soon. First and foremost, get well soon, Liv. Get back in the ring. But there's a lot of storylines that sometimes good things happen. Let me say, everything happens for a good reason. That's it. That's the famous saying. I'm not saying it was a good thing that happened to you, the injury. No. But maybe something is going to help you get over with some storylines that's going to cook into the summer, into now the fall season with you on your rehab and your timetable. Don't know the timetable of her injuries when she's returning, but there's something there in place. You're coming back to something in place storyline wise where you're going to be relevant. So it sucks because some people get afraid if I'm injured, will they forget about me, or where someone might take my spot. In this case of Liv Morgan, not too much because there's that Dominic factor. There's that Roxanne factor. There's the tag team titles factor. So there's a lot of good stuff for her. Again, the first and foremost, speedy recovery, Liv, as we move on here. Speaking about recovery, I don't know if the IWC is recovered from this, Chris. You have Jey Uso drop the title to Gunther. Gunther comes out to gloat, and out comes Goldberg. Now, Goldberg comes up and wishes that, or claims that he's next for the final time. So we're getting Gunther, Goldberg at Saturday night's main event in Atlanta. Your thoughts, because this is a lightning rod all over the IWC and all over the internet.
So we talked a little bit about this before we went live for NXT on Tuesday on the playback, and I'm kind of gonna say the same thing when I said a little bit because that's truly how I feel. So I don't care about the match. What I mean by that is I don't care that this match is happening. I'm not personally going to go on an outrage that Goldberg is on our TVs or anything or I'm not going to get excited because there's a lot of people that get excited about Goldberg and then they go on and bitch and complain about his outcomes every single time. It happens every single time this man shows up. Look, I wish they could have built it up a little bit better in during that segment. What I mean by that is there's two things I thought of. Maybe the commentators didn't play a package, nothing of the interactions they had at Bad Blood in Atlanta. They didn't mention that one time. Nothing. All Goldberg said was, "You did something to my family back in it." What was that, Goldberg? None of you guys we were not reminded of what happened in the past between these guys. So a lot of people probably felt like this was just thrown out there. Now, or another thing, Gunther says no, and you have Goldberg do a bunch of backstage vignettes and say, "Give it to me." And then next week, something happens, and then the match is official. That's the only thing. Because I've been saying this for months. I personally thought Goldberg was going to come out last week. But it's going to happen. This match is going to happen at Saturday's main event. Just get ready for it. And that's what I've done. I think it's going to be an okay match. It's not going to go long. It might be another R-Truth and John Cena match, lengthwise, which would be a little disappointment having that, two back-to-back Saturday's main event. But the point is, I'm not angry about it. I give Goldberg's, whether you like him or not, he's one of the most recognizable people in this business. He had a crazy ass streak in WCW. If he wants to have one last match in his hometown, when Vince promised him, Vince ain't there anymore. Triple H is giving it to him. I don't care, because at the end of the day, if you are one of those people that don't like Goldberg, you should be happy that this match is happening so quick, because the quicker it happens, the quicker he's off your TV. So what's there really to bitch and complain about? I don't understand. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, I want that match. I need that match. It's a dream match." No, I don't care about it, but I don't know. It makes sense to a degree. That's why, again, I'm not going to fully shit on it, because we knew it's happened. They literally they teased it at Bad Blood last year. We didn't know when, but they teased it to happen in 2025. So I'm not surprised. I'm not angry. I'm gonna watch the match. I know Goldberg's not gonna win. Oh no, that's the one thing I'm curious about. I take that back. The outcomes, the ones that it's a little bit confusing and a little bit, because obviously you're not gonna have Goldberg. My thing about retirement matches, why do you have to have the title on the line for your retirement matches? Because again, R-Truth had a match at Saturday Night's main event, wasn't for the title in the main event. He had a match last night. Obviously, that now we know that was to set up something else, but it wasn't for the title. So you can have matches with your world champion at big events in the main event without having to be defended. I mean, just come on now. Because again, if Goldberg wins, first off, IWC is going to go in a reign. Second, way to do Gunther like that already for his second title run. And third, is it really a freaking retirement match? Because he has to defend it. That's the only problem. That if I had to pick a true issue, that's the only issue I have with it. It's the fact that it is a title match.
Did they actually say that it was a world title match? Because they never mentioned I'm putting my title against yours, versus challenging. I don't think they actually said it. I think we're assuming because Gunther's the world champion and there's a prestige, and he just came and says, "You know what? I want to get my comeuppance on him." Because Monday Night Raw, they could come in where Gunther says, "I'm not giving you a title run. You didn't earn it." Gunther's about respect of the world champion and bringing prestige to professional wrestling. His promos when he cuts them, he respects the business. He's not around yeeting like he would when he was going against Jey Uso or the clowning around when it comes to professional wrestling. He's about all business. Now, if Gunther comes out and says, I'm not giving you a title match. You want to wrestle me? It's a non-title. You have to give me something. Maybe he'll put his career. That's where they'll put the stipulation of, I'll put my career. I'll walk away if I can. I know I could beat you. And maybe that's where they go with that. And also, Friday Night SmackDown did a good job of putting that video vignette package explaining the reason why Goldberg and Gunther is taking
They did it on
place.
Friday, yes.
They should have,
did do
they do that on recap on Friday, which we all wish there was Monday, but nevertheless they went to it. We'll see where that leads for Friday night for Saturday night's main event when it comes to Goldberg and Gunther. I think the worry of the IWC.
I'm seeing a couple articles that are saying it's for the title, but when I look at Bleacher Report, which is obviously we all know Bleacher Report, the headline is Goldberg versus Gunther WWE World Heavyweight Title match set ahead of retirement. That's the main headline.
Okay, so we'll see because wonder what WWE officials.
Official. The official graphic from WWE is Goldberg versus Gunther World Heavyweight Championship match.
So it is a world title match. Okay, that's debunked right there. So we got that debunked. That was good researching, good reporting there, good informative digging up their detective work, and that's exactly. So again, the IWC could be a little concerned. They could be, and they should. You should be 1,000% concerned. I think at this range of 20-25 with that world heavyweight title, no need for Goldberg to hold it. He is a man past his prime, 20 to 30 years ago, where you have a lot of young, up and coming talent like a Jey Uso, like a Gunther, Sami Zayn. There's a lot of guys that are paid the way that go in night out, grinding and bumping and hitting the pavement on the road, that should be holding that prestige gold. And I can see where the IWC gets that. Look, Goldberg, you had 2 nostalgic runs, beating The Fiend, beating Rollins, a third one. You're asking, now you're pushing it. I'm all forward to retirement match. I kind of want to see. I do want to see Goldberg retirement match. I thought he was a hell of an entrance, a hell of a attraction in his WCW days. Have that one off. I totally agree with it. But I don't think he should win the world title. That's just me. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that evolves there. Monday Night Raw, one of the things we had Jey Uso advancing, winning the King of the Ring tournament leg there. He's going to take on Cody Rhodes. Your thoughts on Cody versus Jey this Monday night? And it was no surprise. I just wanted to see how they got there, Chris.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a good match. The outcome again of that one's gonna be a one to watch out for, but I don't mind it. 2 faces going together. It's a tournament. They're advancing. It's okay. I thought this Raw was pretty simple, pretty okay. Besides the Goldberg stuff, but that's gonna be a good one to look out for.
Yes. Yes, we'll see how that goes for Monday, and of course, we still keep getting Sami Zayn being tormented or chastised by Karrion Kross. No wrestling match yet on the major television networks for Karrion, but he's still being incorporated in the backstage promos, antagonistic with Sami Zayn, getting under his skin. We'll see where Karrion Kross goes. We know his contract is up soon. They say that might have been his last match at Main Event last night, but they debunked that because there's a storyline in place in front of us with the one and only Sami Zayn. Maybe for Saudi, maybe for Night of Champions, we get a Sami Zayn Karrion Kross where Karrion gets some TV time, PLE time, and the crowd will go crazy for Sami Zayn. Or they'll put a test to see how over is Karrion in Saudi. Make the people choose in Saudi Arabia, the beloved Sami Zayn or the super over, we want Karrion Kross. The Saudi Arabia crowd might be the ones picking here. Interesting if WWE will do that. You never know. When those sickos in the WWE headquarters and creative, I use the word sicko. I know what I did there. All right. So one of the honorable mentions in the matches, so we're not gonna stick too much on it. We AJ Styles and JD McDonough was a pretty good match there for AJ Styles. Becky Lynch was addressed by Bayley. Speaking there, that was a good back and forth promo with those 2 ladies. Obviously, the Intercontinental Women's Title matchup is coming up soon. To see those two of the 4 horsewomen go at it for a gold. Yeah, take my money. Even in 2025, even it's 8 to 10 years later, it still hits. It still resonates, especially when there's a lady demolishing taking all the titles in another. We'll get to that on Wednesdays. We'll definitely talk about that in a moment. We'll go right now to NXT on Tuesday. NXT. Okay, show back and forth. They did had a lot of the fatal 4-way matches. for trying to advance for that fatal four way. You had eliminators for Evolution. Jada Parker takes it, wins, beats Thea Hale, where Jada looked like she might have tapped referee out of position. Thea Hale gives up her Kimura lock because thought the match was over, and Jada wins. Great heel work and great way of picking up a win, Chris.
Yes, I agree. She's doing real good work. I personally, I would love her to win the North American title. I've been saying this for months, bro. NXT, but it was a good show, and I don't want to get too ahead, but the Fatal 4-Ways were good. They're building up towards Evolution. Evolution. Winner gets a championship match. So it's they're doing okay. This was a better show than it was the last 2 weeks.
I agree with you.
But yeah, the matches were good as well. But no, this was a good match. I didn't expect Jada to win, but
especially Thea was off of TV for a while. She came back.
Right.
Don't know really what's her gimmick. We know she's a good in ring, and when she puts on those Kimura locks and those submission holds, she is a believable opponent to get a victory. So I was surprised there. We also had a second to advance to the Fatal 4-Way matchup. Yeah, Kalani Jordan versus Last Legend. One of better matches for Last Legend, to be honest with you. Last week her match wasn't so hot. But all in all, great job there. Lash versus Kalani. I was surprised that the Bougie Bully beat Kalani Jordan. I even made the statement on the watch along. I think they made a disservice by taking away Jahada Jackson, Miss Jackson, away from Lash Legend. I thought Lash works better as a tag team, but picking up the win and they believe in her, go for Kalani Jordan, your former North American Women's Champion, was impressive. And how she got it. The match was a pretty good match, a very solid match for Miss Lash Legend, and a very convincing victory for her. So Lash will be a part of that Fatal 4-Way. Also Jordan Grace. You also have Jada Parker. So we got some, the finals are set up, ready to go for the 4 women. They had a match in the back. Tony D'Angelo, Stacks, and Luca Cosafino. It wasn't a match. It was a segment where I'm going to be honest with you, Chris. They need to wrap this story up a little bit. All right, Luca and Tony, they're not on. They're okay. They're separating families. They're done with each other. Now, Luca Crucifino is a consigliere. Don't know where he stands. Tony don't trust him. Luca wants to be with him. And then the consigliere made a match. Who's on? It looks like they're adding another person, another consigliere. Who's the other Italian on the docket? Bring them out. Like JC says, and let's set up this tag team or this ascension, and let's move on because it's starting to get a little long in the tooth when it comes to Tony D'Angelo and Stacks. Whereas Adriana Rizzo, it's just getting a little long in the tooth, in my opinion. We have a backstage with First Class and Trick Williams. They introduced a mystery partner because Casey Navarro has an injury, suffered on TNA and against All Out in Phoenix with a knee injury. Wesley, Trick and Wes had many issues when North American title run for Wesley, but they put that aside the differences, and they joined forces. They joined and they got with each other. Later on, they'll round it back. They had a Chase U, but I'm going to skip through the Chase U because no one really is too hot about Chase U. Let's go here. Let's go over to that 6-man tag. It was a costly 6-man tag because you had Trick Williams, AJ Francis Wesley versus Josh Briggs, Ushi Uemura, and Elijah. Elijah comes out with a ruptured bicep injury, out of action. So he will be out of action. So speedy recovery, Elijah. Of course, Yoshi Imamura gets the pinfall on Trick Williams, where now he calls an opportunity for a TNA world title shot later in the future because he pinned the champion. But he says, no, I'll give it to you, Josh Briggs, because you are my friend. I don't want to pay he didn't want to pay the tariffs.
I didn't like this because why would you give somebody else your championship spot? I mean, I don't. Next.
Chris, I've got a ticket to. I've got a ticket to Saturday night's main event. Or I'll give you my ticket. You can have it. I just don't want to go. I want to stay home. Come on.
Yeah, no. Next. Come on now.
Yeah. But all in all, Elijah, speedy recoveries from your injuries. Okay, the final eliminator, definitely.
Practice those 3 damn chords.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Elijah. Who wants to walk with me? Well, heal up first. All right, so you have Zarya versus Izzy Dame. I left her out earlier. I didn't name all 4 participants. I want to get to it. In a surprising, but I love the way how they got to the surprising finish where Tatum Paxley hugs Sol Ruka. She screams. She thought it was one of those smelly NXT audience members that dropped the barricade, grabbed her, and she screamed where Zarya got a little bit clustered and lost, and boom, Izzy Dane with a victory. Now, I did say a criticism on the watch along. Izzy Dame hit this wonderful, phenomenal choke slam prior to that, and actually Zarya kicked out at 2, and then she hit her with just a basic German suplex where she got the 3. I can't wish they would have switched the finishers or those 2 moves. Remember, when you think of choke slam, you think of the Big Show finishing people. You think of even Undertaker setting it up for a tombstone. I wish Izzy Dane at her height and the way she looks would have used that as a finisher. Would have been. That's just a minor critique. It's minor. It's stupid, but those little details, like maybe that's something there. All in all, I thought the right person. I wanted to see. I know Zarya came with a lot of pomp and circumstances with Julia and Stephanie. She kind of feels like she's getting left back a little bit or pull behind. Maybe there's something talent wise that they need to work more with her because she's stuck in quicksand. It's going to be a year now. All the other ladies are so advanced, and Zarya is still stuck in that position that she was in with the company. Concerns with Zarya?
If she doesn't get a North American title spot and a good story feud with Sol Ruka, then yeah. I would, because she was brought, like you said, she was brought around the same time as like Stephanie and Julia, and she hasn't done shit. So.
And there was a lot of hype for her. Yo, you gotta see Zarya.
But
like,
there was a lot of hype with her.
There was a lot.
There's potential with her too, because she's badass. She has the look, really, essentially. But I have no idea, brother. We've been predicting her for weeks now. And I don't even know when it's gonna happen, if it's gonna happen.
Yeah, because she's not short. She's tall. Her height is very deceiving. And I thought she wasn't that tall until she standing into Rhea Ripley. I was like, when they did that, and I'm like, oh damn, she checks the boxes. Zarya does. Zarya checks a lot of boxes. I don't know, maybe something in the coaching, maybe she still hasn't adjusted to television wrestling in the United States yet. Don't know what it is, but look, they're in the best hands of the best coaches on there. And speaking of coaches, we had a producer or visit from Gail Kim at NXT that Tuesday. There was reports that she was in the back. She was part of, I don't know if she was a producer, but she was at NXT Performance Center. If the WWE is very wise, which they are, that's an ally, a person to bring in as a coach, as a producer, is the Gail Kim. Her knowledge, her work in the Knockouts division with TNA, and not longer with TNA right now, free agent, will be an asset for the WWE to bring in to work with, not just NXT, maybe also help the women in AAA Mexico. Remember, now they're merging now. And of course, with the NIL recruiting class coming in, as well as Evolve with a lot of great wrestlers with the WID program, to bring in an extra coach like a Gail Kim will be nothing but a wise decision on the WWE part. If that's true, if that was the reason why she came, or maybe she just wanted to see wrestling and just go on her own stomping grounds. You never know, but she was at the Performance Center Tuesday on that. So we go right now. The Sage is set. Jordan Grace, Izzy Dane, Jada Parker on there, and all the 4 women are, and of course, a last legend, the 4 ladies in there that will be fighting for an opportunity to take an opportunity at Evolution of the Women's World Champion, JC Jane. Speaking of JC Jane, we had a contract signing of the glamorous one, Blake Monroe signed her NXT contract, interrupted by Fatal Influence. Fatal Influence comes out. They have the back and forth promo, exchange, flavor of the month. But JC Jane puts Blake Monroe through a table as NXT goes off the air that way, with Blake Monroe through a table where Fatal Influence looks strong. Look, I think that's the right. People say, oh, they're already crapping on Mariah May, aka Blake Monroe. I don't think so, guys. You have to build JC Jane strong. You can make her look like the like everyone says, oh, she's just a filler, a transition champion, worst NXT women's champion. Nonsense. Let creative cook with her. Let's see what she is. Maybe you're going to be so dying for her to lose that title so quick. She probably goes on a run where she's like 6 months as champion. Like, oh damn, no one can beat her. And then she evolves into being a look. Mandy Rose wasn't a great women's champion. I'm gonna be honest with you. Mandy Rose was not. Her matches, I still say that that's why they interjected Blair Davenport with Mika Saramura on that Worlds Collide when they united the UK World Champion. You're telling me Mandy Rose was gonna beat and pin Mika Saramura? Get the hell out of here! If you know wrestling, you know that wasn't going to look right. So they had to put Blair Davenport into that. I think that's something right now when it comes to JC. I think they want to build JC Jane, and JC Jane I think is a better wrestler than Mandy Rose. That's a hot take. That's on me watching them, but I still think JC Jane is a better tag team wrestler than all in all. But I still think she's a much more better in ring than Mandy Rose, and Mandy Rose is one of the decorative women's NXT Women's Champion that you could think of. So let's give JC Jane an opportunity. She has the heel mannerisms, all that stuff, and I think she continues to evolve. She's gonna grow on me. I'm open minded to have her have a nice title run. You pull the trigger away from Stephanie Becerra. I'm open minded. I want to see JC. I watched her in her 2.0 days with Toxic Attraction, taking the titles from Raquel Rodriguez or Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, and where she is now. That's when I've been watching JC Jane, and I always said it. Her mannerism as a heel is on point, and I'm gonna give her my opportunity, Chris.
Well said. I think JC Jane's good in the ring. I think she's better in the ring like Mandy Rose. I don't think that's necessarily that much of a hot take. But yeah, maybe I personally don't see her holding that title past the Great American Bash Revolution weekend, but she does. I'd be a little bit surprised, but I actually don't mind her as much as people don't like it. I don't mind it. It's different for sure rather than having your top star. And if Jordan Grace maybe wants to run on it before she goes up. So there's a lot of things they could do with that title.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got a couple shows. Got Great American Bash, which is interesting because the winner takes the opportunity at Evolution, but there should be a women's title match at Great American Bash, which is the day before. So I wonder if they're going to do double duties for JC Jane. Just think of this: if JC Jane wins both nights and defend her titles, that solidifies her as a strong champion, in my opinion. If she goes and then she takes on Blake Monroe at Great American Bash, and she somehow by hook or crook, whatever the convoluted, the numbers game with Fatal Attraction, with Fatal Influence, I keep saying Attraction, Fatal Influence, and she beats Blake Monroe where Blake doesn't look weak because it was a numbers game, and then you have a program with Blake taking on Fallon Henley or even Jasmine Nix coming out of it because they caused her the women's world title. I could tolerate that. It's long-term booking. It's a storyline. She has to go through the members of Fatal Influence. Then the winner of the Fatal 4-Way, the number one contender, takes on JC Jane on Women's Evolution, where JC Jane, let's guess she does get a clean victory on a Jordan Grace or whoever wins the Fatal 4-Way, Lash Legend or whatever the case is. It makes JC Jane look even stronger. And all she goes, and then it could buy you for until September. I know NXT is going to have some type of show coming up, a TV special or PLE in August. Then September will be No Mercy again if they follow suit the way they've been doing. Then you can have her drop the title there, where it's going to be it's a nice little summer of JC Jane, and it also solidifies her as a champion. So we'll see how that goes for them there. Let's see. Hopefully, it doesn't go south for NXT and the viewership. But speaking of going south of the border, AEW goes for the very first time to Arena Mexico. Of course, it was a great showing, Grand Slam Mexico for All Elite Wrestling. Now, the pomp and circumstances is going great. It's going good until the show begins. Where do you want to go, Chris? Because this is your program, your graps, your.
All right, guys, listen. I'm gonna tell you guys this. Not just because I'm trying to do a little bit of a shorter review today. I got some things, but listen. The fact is, there was not that many good stuff on the show. You didn't miss much, them being in Mexico. The opening segment with Hangman cutting the promo in Spanish, he basically went out there, cut it entirely in Spanish, talked about, when he grew up in a farm in his hometown, there was a bunch of Mexican guys that, he looked up to. They were hardworking, good people. So it's just the fact that he had enough courage and balls to go out there as a country guy and cut an entire promo in Spanish. It was really cool. It was really cool. I think you got to give props to Hangman. Again, they're starting off their shows with segments and not just 5-star quote-unquote matches, which I like because it gets us invested in at least to a story to start the shows, which I don't mind. I'm not going to go into any other of the bullshit. Okada versus Briscoe, it was a good match. I enjoyed it. Poor Mark Briscoe keeps taking all these loses. It was about a 15-minute match with Okada winning. But it is what it is. The only really thing I really want to talk about was the MJF and Mystico match, and then you can get into whatever you want to because nothing good came from this show. Mystico beats so Mystico wins via disqualification. The match goes on for 15 minutes. MJF comes out in an American costume, has the American flag all over him, comes out. I'm not gonna lie, the entrance looks pretty cool with the Hurt Syndicate coming out with that gear. Again, getting heat. It was a good match. I like MJF going up against a different style of wrestlers, like with the luchadors, because Mystico went off. There's a lot of times where he goes off the top ropes and does like back handspring elbows. There's a lot of the DDTs off the top ropes. MJF, he's more of a wrestler. He's a technical guy. He's a bigger guy, so he's not going to do all that stuff. So it's a good mixture of the styles. So that was okay. But again, I don't care about Mercedes winning a new championship. I mean, she's literally bearing that freaking division. It's sad. And then that main event was awful. I mean, I couldn't keep up with a freaking 10-man tag team match. I just couldn't keep up with it. So those are the only things I wanted. Short segment today.
10-man. It was a 14. 7-on-7.
Yeah,
wasn't
my
it?
bad. Yeah, the 10-man was earlier in the show.
Holy
the 10-man
crap.
was earlier in the show. Yeah, you're right. The 10-man was the main event. It was Ospreay, Swerve, and the Ops versus Moxley, Yuta, Beast Mortos, and the Bucks.
And then before that, you had a 14-man with the Callis family and Atlantis Jr. And everyone else. Adam Cole, Bandito, Daniel Garcia. Your sister.
It was a 14 match. It was FTR. Yep, Kyle Fletcher. Yeah. Yep.
What
Lance
the
Archer,
hell?
Brody King, and yeah. So like I said, Mexico and the opening segment, Hangman, really enjoyed. That's all I got.
So how do you like MJF news gimmick, El Chiquito Americano?
I mean, he did that gimmick when he was going against Ospreay last year at Wembley because the whole UK thing and all American championships. We already did this, so it's
you know what I feel bad for?
He's literally just picking up. He's what?
I felt bad for Alicia Atut. Because when he put his Yangbangs in the face of Mystico, they're little prunes.
Oh man!
I was like, oh my god, that's what Alicia Atut's got to work with. He really got a lot of zeros behind that paycheck from Tony Khan, huh?
Yeah, I mean, look, this it's disappointing. This doesn't set up anything for All In. So what do I need to get into? What is there for us to get into? This has nothing to do with setting up their big show.
It's them
I'm
getting
serious.
into
This is supposed
no,
to be...
it's a big milestone.
Yeah,
as a person looking outside, Chris, as a non All Elite wrestling fan, who doesn't stomach the product much, it's a big moment for them though, because they're going international. They open up an international in the most oldest arena in Mexico. That's a great a stepping stone for them to be in that arena. Now there's a lot of shenanigans and a lot of fibbling, lying, because the viewership is down by the company. The owner's lying through his teeth in an interview saying that they're making money, they're Viewership is up. The arena was supposed to be sold out, and all you see nothing but empty seats throughout the whole arena venue. So there's a lot. That's why they get the heat. Just stay. Sometimes don't even try to blow your own horn. Just stay calm. Let other people do it for you. Don't go out there saying we saw them this and that. Just stay humble, because when other people elevate you or put you over is better than when you're trying to put yourself over, and because people always looking to tear you down. And if you let other people build you up, it's the best. But if you're trying to build yourself up, people are always trying to stick that foot out to knock you down. And I think All Elite Wrestling didn't do itself any service by trying to blow their own horn, and all they got was negativity instead of positive. From the outside looking as a positive, they're going international. They're in Mexico. Now, when is that? They did Grand Slam Australia, second international show. Now open it up. Go, they've done UK shows. So now they're adding another name to the market. Now they need to do, they privilege, they already raided and destroyed, Japan. Now you got to give Japan a live show from All Elite Wrestling. Bring the product over there. That's, you're already gone international. Do it. That's a positive for All Elite Wrestling. They're going into those international markets. So
I agree. That's fair.
It didn't help All Elite. It didn't help their big show in Texas. You could be right with that. You could be right.
No,
absolutely.
I hear what you're saying. Because they're Mexico, CMLL. I completely understand that.
Now you have a market.
It's just I have exactly 100%. It's just right now, like, again, WrestleMania, All In Texas is essentially their WrestleMania. So there's their only stadium show, especially first stadium show in the States. So it's like I love AEW, and all respect to the people who actually sat down and took the time for 2 hours and covered this show. But to me, it's what do I need to cover on a show that was honestly for the fans in Mexico? Yes. It wasn't for us. It wasn't to progress storylines going into their show. Which, again, everything you said is absolutely right, and I love that for AEW, because they're continuing to grow rather than declining like allegedly they are. So I love that. It's just you can't give me I don't want to see 2 14-10 tag team matches that don't mean shit.
Agree with you there.
What I don't want to see, I love, again, MJF and Mystico, it didn't mean shit. Again, even the Hangman match, him going out there and cutting a promo, all he talked about was how hardworking Mexicans are and how happy he is to be there. Had nothing to do with Moxley. That really didn't mean shit.
I've got a question, Chris. Who did he get interviewed by Tony Schiavone when he cut that promo, or was he just him grabbing a mic?
No, he went out there. He went out.
I wish this is where they needed one of those announcers, either a Toot, Schiavone, because there should be a follow-up questions. Those men that worked on your tobacco ranch, did they pay? Did your family pay taxes for them? Because you got Brody King says Balish Ice. Now I want to know if those Mexican men that worked on his grounds pay taxes. Fraud. You're stealing from the American people there. Hiring cheap labor, Hangman. That promo didn't help you, pal. If anything, I got more questions. We got, Uncle Sam has questions for you, Hangman Page. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you know what? I hate when I look at my paycheck and Uncle Sam takes all these taxes. Meanwhile, the son of a gun hired a bunch of Mexicans to work on his farm, on his tobacco plant, not pay any taxes. Come on, man. Come on. How fair is that? I pay my taxes. I pay my federal, my property taxes, my state taxes. Let's go. Hangman over there playing. Come on. No good. No bueno, Hangman. No bueno. No bueno. That's right. That's where Tony Schiavone needs to have those tough questions. There you go. All right, we move on here. CMLL Women's Champion.
Oh, my bad.
I want to say this about Mercedes Moné. She's got 6 titles now. She can't even walk with those titles. She can't. It looks una ridicule. She's trying to win as many titles as possible because she's trying to say that she's 15-time or 16-time world champion in all different companies. She's trying to one up Charlotte Flair. And the Tony Khan and others are going with it. She's going to win the AEW world title. because I think that makes number 16th or 17th. I don't know. We got to count all those titles that she's collecting, because she just wants to say she's the high, and she's doing that so she could go take on it, get a big payday in the WWE versus Charlotte for the most titles. With similar what they're doing with John Cena, with the most title runs, the most of all time of women between Charlotte and Mercedes. That's what it looks like. Although at this point, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you, I'd rather have Charlotte go to AEW. I hate to say that as a WWE person. I think her, she needs a fresh injection of a change of scenery, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens with Mercedes Renee. What does that does to Celsius or Zulis, whatever her name, how do you pronounce it? It's a tough one, because she's never wrestled in AEW that I could remember or recall where people are going to follow her for her Mercedes to take that title from her.
Right.
What exposure does the ACML title on AEW TV does? Not much, because women only get really one slot, is at 9:30 on AEW Dynamite. I don't know. To me, it didn't really help, but we'll see where it goes. She's holding on to the title, and by the way, congratulations to Hologram, who won 4 million pesos. 4 million pesos buys a lot of taquitos. Make sure a lot of taquitos there for Hologram. So we'll move on to Thursday's TNA. By the way, celebrating a big impact, no pun intended. He celebrated 23 years in the business. It was the Juneteenth special for TNA. Some of the celebrations, I'll tell you some of the matches. Ash and Heather by Elegance taking on Masha, and the girl from Chongqing, China, Ying Li. Of course, Matt Cardona and a mysterious partner take on the System, Eric Young and Sami Callihan. You had a Order 4 Summit. Santino Marella talked, of course. And, of course, Elijah and the Rascalz and Leon Slater were in action. And that was part of that champion challenge where it was Trick, Maclin, Moose, Nemeths, Hendry, Elijah, Rascalz, and Leon Slater. This is where taping sucks, because Elijah got injured, and then on Tuesday, but he's wrestling Thursday, but then he's injured on Friday. This is why they hopefully they get a new TV deal, and we'll talk about that real quick before we get into that. TNA has announced they have partners in multiple television streaming or multiple television affiliates where you're going to be seeing TNA wrestling. They're going to announce a major TV deal after Slammiversary, around Slammiversary, maybe at the UBS Arena. They've got some big news coming up when it comes to a television deal. Maybe, talk about his Sci-Fi channel. We don't know, but they have something coming up. And also National Wrestling Alliance, the NWA that was mentioned earlier on our stream here, is on Roku. They had that CW app until that guy, I forget his name, they used to be in TNA, did a line of cocaine on live TV on CW, and they said, nope.
Dude, that used to be Chris Canyon's manager. Donovan, not, I was about to say Donovan Mitchell.
The guy looks like Mitchell. The light. There you go. Him too.
James Mitchell. I almost said Donovan Mitchell. His name's James Mitchell. Yeah, former manager Chris Mitchell. Canyon. That's how I know him.
Did that stupid parody there, pretended. James Mitchell, thank you so much, and got the CW pulled out of the deal with NWA, but now NWA, good for them to be on Roku. Hopefully the NWA gets an opportunity where we could follow it, see more. They got some great wrestlers like Tiffany Nieves there. You've seen their tag teams in up and down for Murdoch and so many others on NWA. Hopefully we get some TV exposure. But for TNA, they had that showing, but then they were live last night. If you had the TNA Plus app, we showed the first hour on our live stream before we went to the Smackdown coverage, where I had a rant. The show opens up with Mike Santino Marella coming out. Actually, Joe Hendry gets the crowd going. They get excited. Santino Marella comes out and volunteers that Joe Hendry, you never did your rematch clause. I admired you, and I'm going to put you in the match at the UBS Arena versus Trick Williams. I blew a gasket, Chris, because we are big Mike Santana.
That is what needs to be talked about. No disrespect, I don't give a shit what happened on TNA last week, and I really don't care what happened the rest of the show. This is the conversation we need to be having. Now, I even was on my way to head out, and I even had to come on stream to address because I couldn't believe what I saw. Now, at first, I said, I wanted to see if he was going to get added maybe as a triple threat. As right now, it's not. So I'm going to take it as it is right now. I'm still hoping in the future that it is. And Kev has, told me off stream about, maybe he wins some WWE Gold, North American, NXT against Oba, whatever. Don't care. But right now, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the fact that they had an entire month of June to do this match. And we're in June 21st right now. And they're going to, now we have to wait for a whole other month for this match? You couldn't have done it against All Odds? You couldn't have done it at the special live show that you gave us last night? Something? One of the live shows that you do during going head-to-head against SmackDown? You had to wait till the UBS arena? And then nothing even happens during the build-up. It's just Santino coming out there and said, hey, I have a badge and you never got your freaking rematch clause. Go get it. Seriously? Is this why you rushed Mike Santana and Trick so quick? What is going on? I'm not gonna go too hard on it because I still think there's hope. If they announce it, if the match gets announced, then I'm gonna go on a fucking rant. But for now, I'm just gonna keep it as I hope Mike Santana gets added somehow in some championship gold. Because if not, it's gonna be very disappointing. Everybody wants it. This is Mike Santana's backyard. Joe Hendry is gonna go on to do bigger and better things in the WWE. And he's going to, get a hold out with TNA. That's basically what's going to happen with him. So why not build Santana? WWE has interest in him. Have him be the face of your company. Just don't blow your chin. Just don't blow it. That's all I got. Don't blow it because it's going to be very, very disappointing. Very, very. I did not like what I saw last night, Kev. I did not, but I have some hope that he'll be added in some type of match, whether it's a triple threat, another match for some gold. We'll see.
Yeah, when that happened, I was so. If you look at the first 25 minutes or the first 10 minutes of the live watch along on the playback app, because we do our watch alongs on the playback app where we actually show the content while we watch it along, not just us here or someone staring at a computer screen like other YouTube channels that it's not allowed to show the footage. We are allowed to show the showing, and we actually see the live event with us in a little corner. I was going bananas. I was upset. I was very disappointed, very hot. I'm glad you came on to talk me from really going off the edge, rails. It was
that's
like an
why
emergency.
I did, because
it was an emergency pod.
They could still do it. They could still add him. We know how Trick Williams is with triple threat. If you want to get into that real quick before we review SmackDown.
Yes, I'm going to break into that.
I know you wanted to bring that up, so I'm going to let you go ahead and do that.
Yes, I'm going to bring that up there. And then when I saw that, I was like, why? You had Against All Odds. If anything, if you're really disappointed at the TNA people, your locker room, and you're disappointed that you drop a TNA title to a WWE or NXT, you should have had that match at Against All Odds. Immediately invoke your rematch clause and wrestle him in your own backyard in a TNA on that Phoenix. But no. They interjected Elijah, who had no reason being number one contender, just because he just got to the company. Oh, you just got here and you played 3 chords with a guitar. We're gonna put you as the number one contender. No, if that's the case, why isn't Tessa Blanchard in the Knockouts World Title picture immediately? They've been pushing it and lingering it and putting obstacles in front of her. But meanwhile, Elijah got immediately pushed there, and the same thing with Indy Hartwell. They're putting obstacles for Indy Hartwell because they just got there. So I didn't think why Elijah should have not been the number one contender. Should have been Joe Hendry. You could have had your pay-per-view on their match, and that would have been over. And then you build for Santana and Trick Williams. But I felt when they rushed it on NXT TV, Santana and Trick Williams, like, why? We didn't like it. We were uncomfortable with it. We mentioned it on our live stream. We didn't like it. We knew he wasn't going to win because they weren't going to change the title. Immediately hot potatoed it that quickly, and we're like, fudge. They're not going to bring, it made UBS Arena. This is Santana's backyard, New York City. And he said it on a promo too. Everyone, I know I started tweeting hashtag We Want Mike Santana. A lot of people got with it. A lot of people liked it. There's always a few contrarians that, you could, again, I always said it. If it's sunny outside, they'll tell you it's partly cloudy or it's gray. And some people will say it's even raining, even though the sun is beaming out there and you're getting a sunburn. Some people are just contrarians on X. They love to be contrarian, to go against, to try to get your attention or your acknowledgement. There's a few says, relax. Santana's not over. Bullshit. Mike Santana is over. He is the most over people's champion in all of professional wrestling, all across. From AEW, WWE, NXT, TNA, Mike Santana is the people's champion. That dude is over everywhere. Listen to him when he got to NXT. Listen to him when he goes to all the different arenas, because he feels like he's one of us from the people. He comes through the people. He doesn't stop to yeet. And no disrespect to Jey Uso. He's not doing a dance thing. Mike just comes in because he comes from the crowd. He's from the people. Yeah, I'm one of you, and I'm going in it for war for you guys. That's the way I perceive Mike Santana. Mike Santana is major league over. If you think you're not, you're just being a contrarian. Go suck on a contrarian lemon somewhere else. My thing was Mike Santana later in that night after he beats a hell of a match. And there's a little bit of spoiler. If you haven't seen it, you could turn off right now. It's a spoiler. He took out AJ Francis on a Pittsburgh street fight, and that was a hell of a match. He cuts a promo at the end saying he's injecting himself in the UBS arena. Santino, make it happen. You owe me. You're in my backyard, and I'm coming for that TNA World Title. Now, I think they're going triple threat. What is wrong with that? Nothing is wrong with a triple threat. Mike, Big says you should be happy. Your guy Santana's going to get into the match. He's going to get into the world title match. You should not be complaining. You should be relaxed. You should be happy. You got what you want. To a degree. Here's what I got to say. What does that make Trick Williams as a professional wrestler, as a champion wrestler? Because ever since he's touched a gold title match, any gold, NXT World Champion, now TNA World Champion, why does he always got to defend it in multi-man matches? Check his title run, Ethan Page on that Fatal 4-Way. Everything is convoluted with Trick Williams, with 3 triple threats, Fatal 4-Ways. Could this man have a one-on-one match for defending his title with a wrestler? Or is he not over as a technical wrestler? Is he just a whoop that trick entrance? Is he just an entrance song, or is he in the belt to belt? Is he a wrestler? That's my question. Look, you're at the cusp of getting called up to the main event. We got to know if you could go one-on-one, because they're not going to do every match. They're not going to do the World Intercontinental title on a triple threat, or the USA title, or the Undisputed Universal Champion with you if you ever make it there on a triple threat. They're not going to do it for you. You have to win some one-on-one matches. So we need to find out, buddy boy, if you could wrestle one-on-one. And look, I have met Trick. I mean, Trick is an awesome dude. Phenomenal. But now we're talking about business-wise, in-ring. We're talking about when the bell rings. Where I have the privilege with my wife to meet Trick. He's a cool dude. Awesome. Salt of the earth. Phenomenal. I'm not shitting on him. But why are we having so many multi-man matches with you in your title runs? Oh, majority of your title runs are all multi-man matches. Why? That's my gripe. Why?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that, before off air, and I don't know if it's for him to look better or what, but I agree. I have nothing to add. Doesn't
it look like when you do a one-on-one and you pin your opponent and you're like, yo, because you beat, but he beat your boy Mike Santana, yeah, with Casey Navarro and Francis help. Exactly. When have we seen him gone in a one-on-one when he finishes a match, though? I think even with Eddie Thorpe over Femi, Trick Williams, it was all convoluted. It's always a convoluted situation with you, dude. And I know you don't have. That's your coaches. It makes you wonder, what are you technically ready to take that next step? Obviously, they saw something with you. They entrusted you with the TNA World Title of another company's brand. But here we are in one of their biggest show of the company of TNA, and they're putting you. And it looks like we're going to get a convoluted triple threat match, which is nothing wrong with that. Great, but again, what does that tell you about the performer? That's my concern, Chris. I hope they insert Mike Santana. Yeah, you get what you want. In a way, yes. You still want that one-on-one, because they're going to leave avenues open, where, oh, you didn't beat me, you beat Joe and Henry, blah, 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 so-and-so. Who's going to take the pin, yada, yada. We'll find out. We don't know what happened there. We'll find out. We hope. Look, UBS Arena, 1 full month away. Under a month, 29 days, 28, whatever, before it happens. They're doing shows today in Pittsburgh. We'll see what that comes up with. This is what again I say it time and time again. It hurts the TNA product. Hopefully with the new TV deal, they'll give you some live TV shows. Look, I've said this. I'll compromise 1 week live, then 1 week tape, rather than 2 weeks or 3 weeks of tape in the same venue where storylines don't really progress, especially when you're working with a live TV show like at NXT, where they're every week it's a new storyline, things get updated and up fresh, where you have to kind of tippy toe with the taping of TNA. That's a little bit of a disconnect, but I don't want to go too much on a rant there. We'll see where it goes, Chris, going forward when it comes to this. Hopefully they announce this going on going forward. Cedric is another spoiler, ladies and gentlemen. It's all over X. Cedric Alexander joins the TNA club, part of the brand, not going to the Hurt Syndicate, going to TNA, part of Tasha Steelz and the Order 4 rescue over Mustafa Ali. But I'll leave it as that because the rest don't want to give too many more spoilers. Again, we don't do the spoiler things, but so many people saw that. So many people saw it on X. I think they were running it on X too from the TNA app where you could have seen it for free. So really the cat is not really out of the bag. Heather, salute. And by the way, Heather Wright had that with Cedric Alexander news right on the dot. Wanted to give her credit. Wanted to put her on there. She said, I don't think he goes.
Yeah, Heather, you've been saying that for a while, so good job.
Yes. And she says so. As long as Trick lose, I'm good. I'm perfect. Santana wins. Yeah, then we go right into the final SmackDown where, look, let's face it. I'm going to give you all this. LA Knight, Paul Heyman, phenomenal job there. Back and forth. We had a match.
I
later
love
in the
that.
night.
And again, real quick, with LA Knight going up to Monday Night Raw, I think it's so good for him being in this storyline. You know what I'm saying? Because now he has some, I feel like he was lost in the SmackDown picture with him going back and forth. Perfect for LA Knight. Indeed.
And now, it's like, how is they going to get LA Knight to Monday Night Raw? There's no draft. Paul Heyman could just make it and have it where he weasels LA Knight into Raw. That's how it's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the one final advancement in the Queen of the Ring where Asuka beats Alexa Bliss in a really good match.
That was a really good match. I wasn't too surprised. Again, they both just came back, but they haven't pushed Alexa too much since she's been back. And I think Asuka, again, she just came back on Monday. She's really dominant, so I'm not too surprised. And I think Alexa will be fine, especially if they throw her in the Wyatt 6.
That's what I was gonna say. No Wyatt 6 this week. What was it? 2 weeks now we don't see them.
But they get a tag team match next week.
They get a tag team match next week.
Tag team title match next week.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I thought it was a memorial where the late Bray Wyatt had something coming up where they had to put them on TV. I don't know.
No, they'll be in action next week versus Street Profits.
Okay. All right. We have the promo here with Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and Randy Orton. Cody didn't.
This was good. Cody didn't say a word. You watched this together, and we were like, "Yo, they didn't even say a word."
7 minutes of eating. 7 minutes of eating, Chris.
7 minutes of eating. That's all. That's what I was gonna say. It was just eating, and Randy Orton came out there and made things a little more interesting. But again, they're all just going for the king and queen or king of the ring. They're all friends. There's nothing there.
All baby faces. All 4 baby faces are trying to advance in the tournament. And look at the way they did it with a lot of interest. To a lot of people wasn't surprised that Randy Orton beat Sami Zayn in a freaking good match. Sami Zayn, not my cup of coffee, but he puts a good match. The art of the struggle, the comeback as a baby face, the faces, the facials. Randy Orton wins in a really good match, just one up. I mean, it just showed the experience there. He will take on the winner of Jey and Cody Rhodes on Monday here. This part here where Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax, where you thought Naomi was going to cash in and looked like it always was there, but Nia Jax did not allow it. So I love how that's building up. We're going a little rapid fire.
Yes, I like that.
Saturday. Yeah, that was cool. Right? That was
one thing I want to say real quick, because I saw it a little bit. When I like that too, because you want to build Naomi's storyline, because again, Triple H is getting a lot of criticism recently. Like, he doesn't care about the Money in the Bank. So I think it's really important that they build it. And she's gonna win. She's not gonna be a failed cash in. So build it for the right time, like a priest.
Hopefully, Charlotte versus Kelsey Green. I wanted to see that match. Be honest with you.
That was a good match. It wasn't bad. Yeah, it wasn't bad. Two
No.
great technical performers. Great performers. I not bad at all.
Charlotte gets the win on the figure 8. Of course,
Yep.
the Hervis breaks up and breaks it in and beats up. Alexa Bliss comes out, but Charlotte doesn't want her help. There's a storyline between Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. Let us see it play out, because they're not going to give the payoff immediately. They want you to go long storytelling. Let's have a little patience, see where it goes before everyone craps on it like they would, like others do. Give it time. Everything nice and easy. Things slow and steady. Let's see how that goes. Let it simmer. We'll find out there. Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa. I thought that hit. We're hitting them for the world title.
This and the Cena thing. I want to say get a little tiny bit more in the depth too. So this was great. This was really great. They're a lot of people are saying they forgot about Jacob and Priest. They'll get to that. I think that's the next thing between Jacob and Fatu, or Jacob and Priest. My bad. But no, this was excellent, because now it's not just Jacob. I know what Jacob can do because I've been watching him since the MLW days. But Jacob's not just going out there, I love you, Solo, or just not just giving. No, he's actually spoke. He spoke. He talked. He gave, he gave us the real Jacob Fatu. He doesn't play a gimmick. That's really how he talks in real life. That's really him. So this was perfect, because again, you feel the tension. They're cousins, they're family. Jimmy Uso coming out there again, and not even Jacob fully thank you. Us, there's still bad blood between, but I'll deal with you later. There's still Jimmy is starting to play a little bit of a part here too.
Yeah. The family getting together.
But I loved it. I loved
it.
I loved it. I loved it. I can't wait for their match.
That's going to be coming up soon on Saudi. So Nick Aldis announced it. They'll have that there. And what's your thoughts
Saturday, we'll be here.
Kit Wilson? I know Elton Prince is injured. Oh, did I? Yeah. Kit Wilson out there was supposed to have a match with Alistair, and Truth interrupts it. Where, you know what? Cool. No one wanted to see that squash match between Alistair and Kit Wilson. No disrespect there.
No one wanted to see the squash match, and I think it builds. No one wanted to see the squash match, and I think it builds Truth. The Ron Killings gimmick to him being a little more serious, because he got an Alistair face, and we're like, whoa, I don't play it. Yeah, good for Truth.
And it looks like they might set up a program between Alistair and Ron Killings.
Perfect.
And I saw what Damian Priest said, relax, go. And I like that they didn't totally connected the good back and forth when he was trying to get into the Judgment Day with Damian Priest. It kind of made Damian Priest break a couple of times, which was cool back in those Monday Night Raws. And this was much appreciative getting in there. I can still see in a world where Alistair joins Damian Priest, but that's for another conversation for another time in a group or something there.
Yeah, well, especially when that takes up, when that keeps going a little bit.
I think that's going to happen later now. We'll have that. We'll cross that road. We'll put a pin on that one because we want to wrap up a little bit. It's Saturday on the summertime, so we want to make sure we don't stay too long on here for you guys. Let's go Brunson Reed taking on LA Knight. Braun Breaker interjected disqualification. They're just continuing that feud. They're putting it on a slow cooker for later on, so that's a good one. I can't wait. Again, I can see Paul Heyman making LA Knight's life impossible. Making him put him over to SmackDown and try to get his comeuppance. That's a way of getting him on from SmackDown to Raw. I can see that happening. Some people said it might be a fourth member joining them. I don't think it will be LA Knight, because why would you beat him up and LA Knight is going to join them? But we'll find out where that program goes. The program between these two. Let me read Heather's comment real quick. Yeah, the program between these two. I'm not sure how I feel about that. What drama they will build between Black and Killings. They look at each other, and Alistair felt like, they'll just sometimes a look and a stare down speaks volumes in setting up a program. Just those little details, I wouldn't mind seeing. It doesn't have to be long for Ron Killings and Alistair Black. I think if we have to have an open mind, I think it will work on that there. Let's go right to it. The big one, John Cena, R. Killings for the non-title second time. The match was kind of thrown out, but CM Punk shows up. John Cena heel run, knocks off Punk, puts him through a table, then the pipe bomb. Go, Chris.
Listen, that is what we wanted to see from John Cena since March. What John Cena cut last night. I mean, this is the best Cena promo in 2025. I'm not gonna go on like a lot of you guys and saying, this is the best promo Cena's ever cut. I'm old enough to know that's not true. But like in a long time, yeah. I mean, look, it's not just him name dropping Claudio, Nick Nemeth, and who else did he name drop? Matt Cardona. It was him saying everything that's true. I mean, if you're a CM Punk hater, everything Cena says is true. I mean, he Mr. TKO, like he's like CM Punk is talking all this shit, and
as Chris has got a little bit of technical difficulties, hopefully we'll get right back up. We'll get right back with it. I want to get his take there. Heather says, I couldn't believe I fell asleep right after the promo was about to happen. Oh, well, one thing good about WWE TV, you get to watch it. I want to get Chris to finish his thought because I have a thought myself. I have my thing when it came to this promo. He goes, why? I know people saying, why did you wait 6 months for John Cena to talk? You should have done that from the moment you turned heel. You couldn't do it with Cody Rhodes. His first program was with Cody Rhodes. John Cena barely talked on the European circuit. As I got Chris. Go ahead, Chris. Finish your thought. I want to put a pin on mine.
Technical difficulty. My apologies. But yes, no, this was. I mean, even for him, going up there and saying like, "Yo, you're a corporate guy. You talked all this stuff back then. All this, that. Now you're a company guy. You're going to Saudi. He's basically rubbing it in his face. Him saying, "I'm the reason why you had your moment for the pipe bomb." Fact. I mean, that was just again, I love CM Punk to death, but John Cena, everything he said was true, which makes it even 10 times better. And this is the type of field promo you want to see from the guy. So I was so happy and surprised from what I saw. And this is the best job they've done on building a Cena title match since he's had his.
Yes, and I was saying this. Everyone says why it took so long. 6 months in, all that. And I was going over that timeline right now. His first program was Cody Rhodes. That was his first opponent going to WrestleMania. He can't go out there and bury Cody Rhodes because after John Cena retires and gone, Cody Rhodes takes the mantle of becoming the next John Cena. Babyface. So if he goes out there exposing him and cutting the promos the way he did on Punk with some truthism and some his shortcomings being exposed, how is that supposed to build your next Super Cena, your next John Cena, or the babyface or the face of the company going forward? He couldn't.
That's why he's entering the King of the Ring, so he doesn't take any more losses.
He's hamstrung though, but John Cena verbally on the mic was hamstrung against Cody. That's why the feud didn't go. Short build with Randy Orton. But with Randy Orton, he still kind of cut a little bit of a promo, but there wasn't enough length of time. There was not enough there where John Cena didn't have enough time to really cook on the microphone with a Randy Orton. But they tried. It was still very good. Now you get into the next feud with R-Truth, where he did cut a lot of stuff on Truth. When you look at here, John Cena's promos against R-Truth, he was, it's like a roller coaster. He started off flat and he started to ascend. Now he's on his peak, you could say, against last night with CM Punk. He's at the top and is ready to, the excitement of the roller coaster is about to drop because he reached the top here with that pipe bomb on CM Punk last night. Pretty much word for word, talking, in blurring the line. They let him go out there with the range, and it took the right opponent. Basically, because even if Punk still is over no matter what, the CM Punk chants are over. He's a made man. It doesn't hurt if he throws that in his face, the hypocrisy of him not going to Saudi Arabia or the bearing of other talents, not comfortable with the other talents, whatever, whatever the pipe bomb he mentioned yesterday isn't going to hurt a made man in CM Punk. He's still going to draw tickets. People are watching and talking about it. You couldn't do that with Cody because let's face it, he might be a main man, but he isn't that one yet, where there's still doubt of him being the total face of the company, because Cody is not a TKO champion. It's a Vince McMahon champion before he left. So we don't know what TKO really thinks of a Cody Rhodes. Let's totally be honest with you. We don't know. So John Cena,
I never thought of that one.
Yeah, that's basically, that's why we're here. We have these conversations, these debates, so we could see those different point of view.
That's the beauty of what we do, brother.
Absolutely. So that's where John Cena now, the rails are off. He goes out against Punk, and Punk could take it. Punk is one of those guys that could take those type of slings and arrows, and boom, they're off and running. If you're still now, let me ask this, Chris. After that pipe bomb, after putting through the tables, do you really give a crap that he's going to Saudi to go fight John Cena? If you're a punker,
no,
you want
I
him
never
to go beat
cared
the crap.
anyway. Business is business. But if I'm
right, but if you're one of those playing along with that,
now I don't, because if I'm a CM Punk defender, it's like I want to see him kick his ass now, like, but get revenge. But at the same, but really, this is Cena getting revenge from 10 years ago.
Correct. I understand.
But
we know
I can but I know what you're saying. I understand. It does not matter that he's going to Saudi.
Right. You just want to see the match now. All right. You had the war of words. Now I need to see you guys get in the ring, you two veterans, and go beat the crap out of each other. No matter where it is. It don't matter if it's in London, in Paris, in Tokyo, or in Scotland, in Canada. Never mind.
Mexico.
There you go. But we believe in this match. We believe in this match, and we want to see this match. Now you're getting emotionally invested, because there's some realism, blurring of lines. There's some jabs with one of these two, and now that just says, take my money. We don't care if it's across the world. We're all going to be glued in at 1:00 next Saturday into this whole
here live on the playback. Make sure you go check us. We will be there. Me and Kev
you'll be
on
seeing
the playback, and you'll be seeing the footage.
So
if you want to see two goofballs with their screens, watch it. That's fine, but make sure you watch us, because we'll have the actual footage. It just won't be our faces.
Right.
Come on.
And just think about that. You could be at the beach with your phone on the playback app, watching it while we're and conversating. I know you could watch it. You could watch it on Peacock. You could take it on the beach with you and watch it in Peacock. But then who are you going to talk to? The seagulls? The seagulls who's going to try to eat your onion rings or your Come on. No, you could actually see with us, interact with us, and say, damn, I can't believe so and so won the King in the Ring. So join us on the playback. Absolutely. That's why we want you to join us and come along with us. The link for the playback app is in the video down on the bottom.
The description.
You go to the playback app. It's Wrestling Heal the Ring. And I also have a second channel, Sports Jedi Network, but wrestling is done there. So it's we want to show everything Lucha Libre, wrestling, and beyond. And of course, we have some great interviews coming up on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. It's there. We of course JEDI Kai, I get tongue twisted with her name. She will be joining us on Tuesday. Of course, we have a young man from Texas joining us as well, cruiserweight champion from Texas, TSW. So he'll be joining us for an interview. We can't wait for that, and many more. So of course, the description is in the video as well, or it'll tell you next video coming up. So you can hit a reminder, hit the notification bell, and of course, we continue to watch our former interviews that we did in the last few months on the different independent wrestlers that we have interviewed. So we appreciate everyone here on a Saturday. We thank everyone for joining us on the Heal the Ring podcast. Follow us, subscribe, leave a comment. Again, James, Jones, Heather, thank you guys.
Yes,
you guys
James, Heather,
great.
Everybody in the comments that participated. Hassan, apologize. Calster, Daniel Garcia, we appreciate you guys. Seriously, we have a lot of viewers, but it's you guys engaging with us. We build a community out of it with actual people, and we like the engagement. So keep it going. Thank you guys, and we'll see you soon.
Yes, and I have one more thing before I get out of here.
Yep, go.
One more thing. Wrestling community. We've been interviewing these female wrestling, putting over women's empowerment, women's wrestling. We kind of want a little more support when it comes to the women talent. Show your love, support. You wrestling community watchers, you guys go running quickly to watch the women content creators who don't even know the wrestling history. who they tell themselves say that they've been watching wrestling for a year or for 2 years, and you go there in droves to see them. When I have women wrestlers who are telling them their story, their sacrifice, their journey, their upcomings, and I don't see a peep in the comments or questions for them. But meanwhile, you go watch, and I'm going to say it. I'm going to burn some bridges here, but I don't care. You go watch a Wheezy Blonde. You go watch a Melva, whatever, Mavova, the other ones, because you think you're going to see a pubic hair or a nipple slip. Come and watch these women who are telling their story about wrestling, about the ins and outs of being and juggling their story mentally, physically, and the sacrifice. This is where you guys need to have your attention. And you do whatever you want, but you need to definitely come and watch. Not just someone being a goofball on stream, drinking alcohol, showing the little Pomeranian in the background, and you're thinking you're going to see a nip slip. No, you want to know about them, because when they come to your town to wrestle or your city, you know who they are because you heard their story. You heard their story. We're not forcing any faces or any expressions for TikTok views or clouts. We just want them to tell their stories. We want them to get their name put out on the internet, on either X or anywhere else, because they're working their asses off. Some of them might not. Let's be honest, may not even make it to the big companies. But you know what? They're out there, and that might inspire a young man and woman in your life, or a young child, or a sister, or brother, or cousin that wants to get in the wrestling business, and they can hear the sacrifice and the stories. They're not just going to go on a mattress and do a couple flips and they think they're professional wrestlers. Hear it from the people that are in the trenches, night in, night out, the sacrifice. So that's why we do these series. So we invite you to join us, to spread, share, like, subscribe. Hey, it might turn some people off, but you know what? Then you weren't our audience. That's the way it is. So we want to thank everyone.
Awesome.
You enjoy your Saturday afternoon. And we'll see you next time on the Heal the Ring podcast here with the Sport Jedi Network with PGA Chris and BX Sports.
See you guys soon. Woo!